You do not take Vimy Ridge. That is the rule everyone knows by 1917. You do not take it because the ridge sees everything. It rises 475 feet above the Douai Plain in northern France, a long spine of chalk and clay that gives whoever holds it a perfect view of every road, every trench, every movement for miles. You do not take it because the Germans have been there since October 1914. 3 years of concrete. 3 years of machine gun nests carved into limestone. 3 years of overlapping fields of fire, pre-registered artillery, and dugouts 30 feet underground. The French tried in 1915. They lost more than 100,000 men. The British tried after that. They gained yards. They lost thousands. By 1917, Vimy Ridge is not a position. It is a warning. German commanders call it unassailable. Allied planners quietly agree. Soldiers whisper its name the way you whisper about places where men disappear. And then the rule breaks. Because in April of 1917, an army the Germans openly mock, an army they call colonial, inexperienced, second-rate, is given the ridge. And one man insists it will fall. Arthur Currie is 41 years old. He is not a career officer. He was a schoolteacher, a real estate salesman, a militia officer who learned soldiering part-time at night, with borrowed manuals and relentless study. You would not pick him out as a revolutionary. He speaks softly. He listens more than he talks. But he believes something that most generals in 1917 still refuse to accept. He believes you do not win modern wars with courage alone. You win them with preparation. Currie commands the 1st Canadian Division, soon to be a corps leader in the Canadian Corps, 4 divisions, nearly 100,000 men, all volunteers. Farmers from Saskatchewan, clerks from Toronto, fishermen from Nova Scotia. Men who trained together, fought together, and learned the same brutal lessons on the Somme. They learned what does not work. They learned that charging blindly into machine guns is not bravery. It is arithmetic. By early 1917, the Allies are desperate. The French army is cracking. Mutinies are spreading. The British need a victory, not just ground but proof that the war can still be won. So they assign the Canadians the impossible task. Take Vimy Ridge. The Germans laugh. Intelligence reports describe Canadian units as enthusiastic but tactically naive. The ridge, they believe, will break them like it broke everyone else. Currie reads the same reports. He studies German maps. He walks the ground. He listens to junior officers and gunners. And then he does something radical. He refuses to rush. He demands time. He demands shells. Millions of them. He demands that every platoon commander know not just his own objective, but the objectives of the units on either side. He demands rehearsal. Over and over. On full-scale replicas of the battlefield carved into the countryside behind the lines. And above all, he insists on a new idea. You do not outrun the artillery. You walk behind it. The creeping barrage will move forward at exactly 100 yards every 3 minutes. And the infantry will be right there, close enough to feel the concussion in their chests. Too far back and the Germans re-emerge. Too far forward and your own shells kill you. The margin is measured in seconds. On April 9, 1917, Easter Monday, Arthur Currie stands with the men who will test whether preparation can defeat certainty. Snow begins to fall. At 5:30 a.m. the world explodes. You feel it before you hear it. The ground jumps. The air slams into your lungs. More than 1,000 Allied guns open fire at once. Field guns, howitzers, heavy artillery. The barrage rolls forward like a wall of sound and fire. You move, not running, walking. Because Currie has drilled this into you. If you run, you die. 100 yards ahead, the shells land in perfect rhythm. 3 minutes. Another 100 yards. 3 minutes. Again. German forward trenches vanish under the barrage. Dugouts collapse. Telephone lines disintegrate. The Germans stumble out in confusion, choking on dust and cordite, only to find Canadians already on top of them. By 6 a.m., the first trench line is gone. By 7 o'clock, the second. But Vimy Ridge is not one fight. It is 4 happening at once. On the northern flank, the 4th Canadian Division faces Hill 145, the highest point of the ridge. The Germans have concentrated machine guns here. Concrete emplacements survive even the barrage. Men fall. Sections vanish. For a moment, the attack stalls. This is the moment the Germans expect. This is where the ridge always wins. Currie's system holds. Reserve units move forward exactly as planned. Artillery adjusts fire within minutes. Not hours. Minutes. At 10 a.m., Canadian infantry storm Hill 145. Grenades roll into bunkers. Bayonets flash in cramped tunnels. A German machine gun crew fires until Canadians are 5 yards away. By noon, Hill 145 is taken. But one objective remains. The Pimple. A fortified knuckle of ground on the far north end of the ridge. Snow turns to sleet. Visibility drops. German artillery hammers the slopes. For 2 days the fight grinds on. On April 12th, Canadian units advance again. This time the Germans break. By nightfall the entire ridge is in Canadian hands. Think about that. In 4 days, an objective that had resisted 3 years of assaults falls. Canada suffers 3,598 dead. Germany loses the ridge forever. For the first time in the war, the Allies have taken a fully defended German position on their own terms. And the German army understands something terrifying. The Canadians have learned how to fight. Mid-roll seat. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, sacrifice, and genius deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. What the Germans do not know, not yet, is that Vimy Ridge is not just a victory. It is a blueprint. The integration of artillery, infantry, engineers, and intelligence becomes doctrine. British and French planners copy Canadian methods. The creeping barrage, once experimental, becomes standard. For Canada, the impact is immediate and profound. 4 divisions fought together under Canadian command for the first time. They succeeded together. And in doing so, they forged a national identity distinct from Britain. Strategically, the ridge gives the Allies observation over the Douai Plain. German supply movements are exposed. Defensive lines must be redrawn. Psychologically, the damage is worse. German reports describe the Canadian assault as shockingly efficient. Officers note the speed, the coordination, the refusal to waste lives needlessly. The myth of German invincibility cracks. And Arthur Currie is promoted. Despite criticism from traditionalists who dislike his insistence on preparation, his methods spread. By 1918 they will help break the Hindenburg Line. But that is still ahead. For now, Vimy Ridge stands quiet. White crosses mark where men fell in snow and mud, far from home. Arthur Currie survives the war. He becomes Inspector General of the Canadian Army. Later, Principal of McGill University. He carries the weight of every order he ever gave. Many of the men who took Vimy Ridge do not come home. They were 18, 22, 30 years old. Farm boys, factory workers, students. Today, the Vimy Memorial rises where they fought. 2 pylons of white stone. Names carved into walls. No ranks. No divisions. Just men. To this day, Canadians speak of Vimy Ridge not as a battle, but as a beginning. Because that is what it was. A moment when an underestimated army proved that preparation could defeat arrogance. That learning could defeat tradition. That the rule could be broken. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Arthur Currie and the 3,598 Canadians who died at Vimy Ridge do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.